Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out after lunch here with us. Hopefully, I'm not fighting against food coma too much. So I just wanted to share a few things with you. I thought about what to talk about here, and I thought, I'd like to just address what's really happening in this space, or at least something that I've been noticing, and also something that I think is interesting to talk about, and that is when we're selling products, when we're selling technology, there's a great need for storytelling. And so I thought I would just leave a few tips on storytelling as it pertains to this space. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company, just very quickly about what we do, talk about how this space, wearables, Internet of Things, is really in transition, and then talk about storytelling very briefly at the end. So Misfit, you may or may not have heard of us. We're a small company based in San Francisco and a number of other places. Co-founder with me is Sridhar. I don't know if he's in this room. I know he's here at the conference. And John Sculley, the former CEO of Apple. And what we've done is, we really started small and just tried to get things going with our very first product, which we actually ended up not doing. And we shifted to doing something very simple, an activity tracker. So right now there's 40 of us in San Francisco, and then the other 3/4 of the company are basically in Shenzhen and Ho Chi Minh City. We actually manufacture in Korea, and we have a commercial office in Beijing as well. So a lot of Asian presence. That's where we've been doing a lot of what we've been doing. We got started just a few years ago. This is Sridhar and my third company together, and so we just felt we're a little too old to do a seed round, so we just did it ourselves between the founders. Raised some money in Silicon Valley. We pivoted very shortly after we did the raise, which seems almost scandalous, and did the Shine activity tracker. I'll show you a picture of it in just a second. I'm wearing one right now. Did a crowdfunding campaign that did really well. Launched at the Apple Store, all 15 countries within a period of a couple weeks in Q4 2013. And one thing led to another. We raised some more money. And had some great partnerships, went to the Olympics, World Cup as the official activity tracker there. And before we knew it, we started to kind of walk into the smart home space. First with a very simple product, the Bolt, a smart, very simple color-changing light bulb. So the thing that we've been noticing over the last few years, when we first got into the space, is that, we're kind of really in the midst of a new revolution in computing. The PC revolution in the 80s, the 90s, we had connected computing, mobile and social in the 2000s, and the so-called Internet of Things, whether it's devices on our bodies, which are called wearables, in our car, our home, in various places in our lives. These things are finally getting connected, largely because of mobile internet. I mean, that's really what has, I think, really fueled the flourishing of this field. And so a lot of people ask me, like, is wearables really the next big thing? Is it really going to turn the technological curve that we've been on and really be something that will really make our lives a lot better? And I think the short answer to that, in my opinion, is not yet. Soon, but not yet. I think soon, but not yet. Back at my last company, AgaMatrix, we did a medical device. We did a bunch of medical devices, blood glucose meters and strips. And we had this test that we would always aspire to pass, and that was the turnaround test. If you were halfway to work and you forgot something, would you turn around for it to get it? Your keys, your wallet, your iPhone, right? But would you turn around for your activity monitor? What if it had heart rate monitoring? Probably not. How about what if it had heart rate monitoring, alerts, and notifications? Probably not, right? So most wearables don't pass the turnaround test. So let's be really clear about that. At least not yet. And so that's why I don't think many of the products in our space are all that compelling just yet. Now there are a few ways to get around this for now until we get to a better world, right? One is the first hack to pass the turnaround test is to not have to pass it. So that's what we did with Shine. We made it so that it's incredibly easy to wear. It's super comfortable, no charging, so you just wear it and you forgot that you wore it. Otherwise, it would just be really hard to pass this test. The other way to do it would be to just have technology everywhere, right? To have these products in your seats, in your home, in your car, and whatnot. And so we started thinking about what we can put in the home that's really useful and interesting to have. So I really think that this space is in a transition. Bulky plastic stuff for athletes, requiring charging, to things that are more lifestyle-oriented. I think you're seeing a lot more messaging around lifestyle kind of products, things that you would wear all of the time by athletes. And most importantly, I think one of the biggest transformations that's going to happen in this space will be having these things be more useful, where they would actually do more things. You know, we're very much in this 1.0 world where a bunch of us are just trying different things, monitoring all sorts of things. I mean, even sensing is almost synonymous with wearables. You know, I tell people we do wearable products, and they ask me, oh, what does it sense? It's like, well, why does it have to sense anything, you know? But such is life in the current space of wearables right now. There's alerts and notifications, GPS. So these are the kind of things that we're seeing currently with the current slew of wearables that we have in the market. I really think there are going to be several different pillars of clusters of use cases that are going to be really compelling, that are really going to make a difference. Safety, I think, is huge. Like if people can really, if we can make something that can nail use cases in the safety domain, it's going to be really interesting. Identification, we already see some of that coming with Apple Pay through Apple Watch. I think that's very cool. That's probably one of the most interesting use cases, I think, if they can get it done right, if infrastructure is sufficient so that it'll work 99.9% of the time. Wearable payments, if it only works even 95% of the time, not good enough, because then I'm still going to have to bring my wallet. And controls, devices that we wear that can affect our environment and actually do things. So I think, that's just my prediction for what the 2.0 world's going to look like. I think these three areas are very doable. There are other use cases, obviously, that I think are less doable, harder to do. And so those are coming, but not yet. But these, I think, were definitely coming. I think 2015, 2016 is definitely the era of wearable payables, wearable controls, wearable safety products. Now we shift over to the home space. We are at an IoT event here. I think there's a transitioning happening there as well, where you may have seen these kind of products. Remember X10? I remember when Sridhar and I were in our apartment for our last company. I hooked up these X10 devices, and he always thought it was really dorky, and he is absolutely right. They just didn't really work that well. Remember the clapper? You're right. So, but it's things are changing because of connectivity, because of just people finally saying, what, this stuff has to look good. So it's happening. I should have had this video earlier. So people have asked, about wearable controls. What's that about? And so this is just a little video we did at Misfit, where you can kind of see an example of what. So this is the Flash activity monitor. And we built a little API that enables it to control different devices. So we partner with Nest to be able to control their stuff. There's a great partnership with Spotify. Did Yo, that was easy. That's actually probably the most popular one so far. Everyone in the office was yoing each other.
Distance 7.2 miles.
And of course, selfies, right? Probably the biggest killer app for remote controls. So this activity tracker now is much more than just an activity tracker. We also did some more integrated with our light bulb, the Bolt. We changed colors with it. So single, double, triple tap, long tap. So you can do a number of different gestures. And so you can find out more about it at build.misfit.com. And so those are the transitions that I'm seeing in the wearables and the IoT space. I would love to get your comments and thoughts as well. What are some of the other changes that are happening? The 2015, 2016 kind of trends. Something that we do a lot at Misfit is trying to figure out how to tell stories. Because at the end of the day, do people really buy science and technology? No, I don't think so. Do they buy products? Maybe. Experiences? Definitely. And stories? That's definitely what people remember. And so there are three things that we've tried to do to try to tell compelling stories around these products, right? It reminds me of a quote, one of my favorite quotes by Maya Angelou. People will forget, she said, people will forget what you tell them. People will forget what you did for them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I really think that's very true. And so having your products tell your story, making products that are just self-evident of what you're trying to convey. For us, at the beginning, we saw the space was just full of black rubber bands. It was what people wore, so we said, that's it. We're going to make something that is going to be simple and elegant, and finally something that women would wear. So we made Shine. Looking at light bulbs, again, light that is beautiful, as well as a product that was beautiful. Having photography that really tells a story that, look, this product is finally not just something made by Silicon Valley geeks for Silicon Valley geeks like myself. It's actually made for the rest of the world, because hardly anyone lives in Silicon Valley. We tell it through video, having something that doesn't just talk about features and specs, great, but really a story around achievement.
We do not have greatness thrust upon us. Our greatness comes from our achievements, our desires to make an imprint and leave a legacy. We accept the challenges that lead us away from a life of mediocrity because we do not play it safe. We do not settle for anything. We are always growing and always changing. We set forth to scale mountains, to dive to the darkest depths of the sea, to love, to dream. So that we may dangerously expand our horizons. Because we understand that the world will not continue turning unless we push. And so we challenge ourselves to become greater.
So I think great stories told through photography, product design, videos can be compelling and memorable. I'm going to skip this because it's just our light bulb. Another thing, another tip, have other brands tell your story. So this is something we've done by partnering with various large brands. We did one with Coca-Cola, and they helped us tell a story of being active as happiness is being active. Instead of saying, "Hey, Shine is really sexy," we said, "Hey, just ask Candace, or any of the Victoria's Secret angels." And so we made a pink Shine, and it worked great. I think we sold over 12,000 units in less than 30 hours. And here's I'll skip the video, but you have Candace doing her thing, exercising for. And then the other thing is around elegance. So we did a deal with Victoria's Secret. Added some sparkle to it, and I'll just leave it I'll show this video at the end if there's a little bit of time. The last, so having other brands tell you, so having product design that is self-evident and tells the story that you're trying to convey, having other brands tell your stories, and then finally, and most importantly, having your community tell your story. And I'll just share with you a few things that that one of our most recent partners, Xiaomi, does on a regular basis. They're just the masters of community. Are they dominant? Did they really sell 61.7 million phones last year, surpassing Samsung because it was $100? Absolutely not. There's over 20 phones in China that are under $100 that are amazing smartphones. But they did it through building a great community. Amazing launches, just amazing launch event. I mean, this is their recent launch event in India. People waiting like way outside the building to try to get into the event and get a phone. Product testers. Super useful parties. We've been doing fan events for Shine in China, and it's just been fantastic. It's weird to have a fan event for products here in the US, but for whatever reason, it works in China. And we're loving it. Codes so that you can, scarcity of products, having special access there. Social media. Xiaomi sold over 150,000 phones in under 10 minutes on WeChat on the day of launch. Unbelievable. And symbols. I think this is one of the most powerful things they have. This little animal. I can't tell if it's a rabbit or a dog or whatever, but it's a very prominent branding with a red star. It's a proud and great Chinese brand, and people have embraced it. And so that's it. I don't know if we have a second to show the Victoria's Secret or the Swarovski video, but I'll just leave it at that, and then you can enjoy. Yeah, you can think about if anyone has questions. We didn't do this video. We can't afford models like this. But again, stories around having other people tell your story. And she's hard at work. I don't know if anyone has an office so color coordinated with the books arranged by color, but it's one of those things that. We launched this at CES, and it's done great for us. So, as startups, we rarely have the marketing budgets to pull off stuff like this. But if you have a partner that has a vested interest in the space, great way to do it. Highly recommended. Thank you. Okay, sure.